Hi everybody, my name is Victoria. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. Hi, I'm glad you're here. Today I'm going to be doing the ratings and reviews tag, and I was tagged by Lauren at the Paperback Empire, and she is a fantastic channel who deserves more love. I've been following her for a while and I just really enjoy her videos. She's very articulate as well when she does book reviews and talks about what she's reading. And she's just fantastic. So definitely go follow her if you're not subscribed to her already. And this tag was originally created by Scott and Nelle over at Gunpowder Fiction Plot, who is also a channel that I followed for a long time. And they are also super fun to watch. They have come up with the most insightful and really thoughtful questions. You'll see what I mean as I go, but they've really covered every single facet of book reviewing in this tag. The first question is, how do you know you've just finished a good book? Is it a thinking or a feeling response? And this one depends. I have had both. If there is a book that I'm gonna rate 5 stars, 9 times out of 10, I have that feeling. Especially if it's fiction, I feel like it's more of a feeling response. And a lot of times with a nonfiction, that can also be a feeling response, but sometimes it's a more thinking response. If it's something that challenged me intellectually, or I just feel like I gained a lot of knowledge from it. So sometimes it's thinking. Generally, I tend to be more of a feeler. So if a book impacts me and makes me feel something, it's probably getting 5 stars for me. If a book makes me cry, it's usually 5 stars, pretty much guaranteed. So yeah, I'm probably more of a feeler. The next question is, when you begin to form your review or rating of a book, what is the first question you ask yourself? I read for enjoyment, but I think more so I read to experience the world. And for me, if a book has made me think about something differently, that will definitely put it higher up on a rating scale. If it has changed my perspective or taught me something, that is always a lot of brownie points in the book's favor. So I guess the first question I might ask myself is, what did I gain from this book? How did this book change me, or did it change me? Did it change my perspective? Now, that's not to say that something fun and fluffy and light can't be 5 stars, but for me, it tends to not be. But I just think about those books differently. But if a book has shaken my perspective of something, or impressed me, if it has impressed me with the scope of it, or if I can really see what the author has done is very complex, I tend to be drawn towards those things. Like Stormlight Archives is a super impressive series, and I don't know if there's any fantasy series that's ever really gonna top it. It's really my number one, and part of that is the complexity and that I enjoy that kind of thing. That wasn't a very straightforward answer to that question, but yeah, we're just gonna move on. So the next question is, do you do star ratings? Why or why not? I do. Probably I've given myself away because I've already mentioned about 5 stars. And so I just use the good old Goodreads rating system. It works for me, although I don't use it because it's perfect. I know a lot of times there's just not enough nuance in that kind of rating system. And so people like to do the half stars and everything. I feel like with the stars, it's more of a ballpark, and you can have an idea of how I felt about it, ballpark. And then where the details come in is a written review, which I'm trying to do written reviews of every book that I read, and just to be more detailed after I finish a book and I share about it with you guys. That's actually a skill I'm really working on this year. And so I use star ratings because I do think they're helpful. While they're not perfect, they are helpful. This is like a sub question, so a question within a question. So it says, if yes, explain your star rating system. What does a good book get in your star rating system? So with a 5-star book, this is a book that I really wouldn't change a thing. I just think it's really well done. Sometimes maybe there will be something little that I'm like, yeah, we could have tweaked that about it. But overall, this is a book that I think just really stands alone, was thought through really well, and was just a great experience from beginning to end. That's where the feeling comes in as well. I think a 5-star book, I know it when I see it. And I know a lot of us feel that way. But I know what a 5-star book is because I have that feeling of like, I've just met a new best friend when I've finished the book, is the best way I can describe it. And you know that feeling, you close the book and you like hold it to your heart. So that's for sure a 5-star book for me. A 4-star book will usually be a good book, but maybe I don't have that feeling about it. Maybe I don't have the urge to like reread it quite so soon. Maybe it was just a good time, or there was something in it that I really wish was done differently. And usually that's like a major plot point or like a major character decision, something that's big enough for me to be like, if something had gone different in the book, then I would have rated it 5 stars. So that's kind of where 4 stars sit for me. 3-star books are like, yeah, it was a book and it was good. It's still a good rating, but something that I'm not sure will stick with me. Or usually 3 stars usually something I probably wouldn't reread. That's usually the standard of like, would I reread this book? So a 3-star book is something that I have seen that it has merit, or I enjoyed a lot about it, but probably not something that I would revisit again. It just read and done with. And then a 2-star book will be something that not only do I not want to revisit that book, I would have some like strong criticisms about it. So something that the author, like something bothered me about this book. And a 1-star book, I almost never rate anything 1 stars because I often DNF before I would finish that book. And I don't really like to rate books that I DNF. So a 1-star book is like, this was trash, or it made me angry, or really no one should read it. I would not recommend it to anyone. I have very few of those books in my life, luckily. I'm pretty good at picking things that I am pretty sure I'm gonna like. So I don't know the last time I've rated something 1 star. It happens very rarely, once in a blue moon. But yeah, I probably won't have finished it if it is a 1-star book for me. And the next part of the same question is, are all of your 5-star books better than your 4-star books? Is your star rating consistent? That's a hard question. I want to say yes. I will say I have definitely come back to books later and changed them from 4 stars to 5-star because I'm like in a different place in my life. I'm a different reader, and maybe I've changed my mind about something. Like I recently did that with The Hobbit. I reread The Hobbit and was like, why did I put 4 stars on Goodreads? It's a 5-star book. I love The Hobbit. So stuff like that. But yeah, I would say overall, if it's something that I've read recently, I'm pretty consistent with the criteria that I just went over. Question number 5 is, do you believe that every book has its perfect reader? Does this contradict the idea that a book can be bad? Oh, this is I feel like you could do a whole video about this question. Maybe someday I will. How do I even begin? This is so hard. I'll put it this way. I do believe that a book that may not work for me will definitely work for someone else. I think we can all agree on that exists. I feel like this question is getting a little bit more to like objective versus subjective, and is there any such thing as bad literature and good literature? And that is a question that I don't know if I would be ready to tackle exactly, but I believe that there are some books that are objectively better than others. I'll just say it. I do believe that. And I feel like for some reason that tends to be a controversial opinion in many circles. But yeah, I do believe that a book can be objectively better than another one. However, obviously a book that I think is bad, someone else can and should think it's great. They have that right. And I would never take away that right from someone. But I just may strongly disagree with someone. But that's okay. It's okay to disagree, I guess, is what I am getting at the end of the day. It's okay to disagree, but I do believe that a book can be objectively bad or good. But yeah, I don't know. We're gonna move on because this question is scary. Question number 6 is, what book that you hated have you recommended? I haven't hated a book and recommended it. I guess maybe this question is talking about how maybe because you hated it, you think that someone else might love it. But I don't think I've ever read a book, hated it. Like, if you think of the word hate, how strong is the word hate? It's very strong. I don't think I would ever recommend a book that I hated to someone. I might tell someone about it and they can decide if they want to read it or not, and I wouldn't stop them, but I could tell them that I hated it. Question number 7 is, what makes a book good, bad, or great by your evaluation? A good book impresses me with the author's skill. That's a big one for me. If I can see the author's skill and what they're doing, that will usually be a pretty highly rated book for me. If a book makes me feel something, if I'm crying at the end or in the middle or anywhere, if I feel like these characters are real, if I'm really with them and engrossed, if the author has an ability to just completely consume me where I'm like blocking out everything else, that's usually a good book. Not always, though. That can kind of sometimes go either way. It depends. Because I have sometimes been engrossed by a book that I hated, too. And that's part of the experience of why you're hating it, but you're also engrossed in it. You're hate reading it, I guess. A bad book? I think I could describe a bad book pretty well for me. A bad book is where I can see that the author didn't know where they were going, or their point isn't clear. That's a big pet peeve of mine, where they don't really drive home their point strong enough. And not that subtlety can't be part of it. Subtlety is different, but sometimes I just feel like the point of the book will not be communicated properly. So that's a big pet peeve of mine. A bad book can sometimes just contain content that I find offensive. And that's where, I guess it gets personal from person to person there. So a book that deals with offensive material in an offensive way will not be a good book. That will definitely be a bad book. And it's like, it. Same thing with a good book. You know it when you see it. You know a bad book when you found it. And I also, at this point in my life, I think I have a good feel for writing skills. And so sometimes when I can just tell the writer has very lower writing comprehension, grammar skills, things like that, I'm usually pretty sure that book is not going to be a good book for me in the end. I'm a little bit picky about that. Prose can be hit or miss, but I can hang with a lot of different prose. But if I see that the author doesn't have a very good skill with that prose, that is usually a red flag for me. Sometimes a bad book is just something that I don't agree with the message. I might fundamentally disagree with what the author is trying to say. And that's definitely going to be personal from from person to person. The next question is, when evaluating the quality of a book, do you have specific criteria or aspects of the book, such as character development, that you consider? Does this change if you are writing an in-depth review versus just thinking about the book for enjoyment? So I'm writing reviews for everything at the moment, and so I'm always critically reading. Even if it's something that I'm reading for fun, I don't think I can take away the critical reader in me. That's always how I've read a book. Yeah, that's the skill that I carry with me with every book. I'm always critically reading. It doesn't mean that I can't have fun with a book though. And I think that's where people get confused. You can have fun and be a critical reader. Character is a big one for me. If I feel like the characters are just like at an arm's length, or if they're like kind of two-dimensional, then yeah, I'm probably not gonna have that book as my favorite book. I run into this a lot with satire. A lot of books that are satire, sometimes the characters represent like ideas more than they are supposed to be someone you connect with. And that's not always a bad thing. It depends on how it's done. So I don't think you necessarily always need to connect with a character and think they're like the best thing ever and want to be best friends with the character. That doesn't necessarily make a good book, but I do like I like my characters fleshed out for sure. If I can connect with them, or not even like connect with them personally, but like if I can understand their perspective, even if it's a perspective that's different from mine. And also, just did I enjoy my time with the writing? I'm kind of big on writing style. If a book has a writing style that bothers me, or if the author is like repeating certain words or certain turns of phrases and they're not like branching out and using other things, if I can tell the author has like a limited vocabulary, surprisingly, there are authors with limited vocabularies out there. Yeah, the writing style will make or break a book for me. Question number 9 is, do you consider star ratings or average ratings when choosing to add or read books on your TBR? Yes and no. For book of the month, actually, I almost always, before I choose a book of the month, I subscribe to book of the month. As some of you know, this is my book of the month TBR cart that has gotten out of hand. So I've been trying to like whittle down this TBR cart, but oftentimes I will go online and look at Goodreads before I choose a book of the month. However, it doesn't always work for me because I have maybe like 6 or 7 book of the months that I just did not like. And they had good ratings on Goodreads. So it doesn't always work anyways. So no, I don't put a lot of stock into that. The thing that I put stock into is my own personal interest in a book. Even if it's getting bad reviews, or I've only seen negative things, or maybe like slightly lukewarm things, I'll still try it if it's a book that I'm interested in. It's not gonna deter me from the book. Question number 10, who on BookTube does reliable and interesting reviews of books that you know you can use to decide if a book is for you or not? What makes their review so good? Well, let's start with the booktubers. So booktubers who I think are just really good book reviewers and who give really good details are Christy from Christy Lewis Dostoevsky's Base and Kaylee from Luminous Libro. I always feel like they are really articulate about what they like or what they don't like. They're always really well thought out. And then Tiffany, and these are like friends of mine, so I know because of their taste. So Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia. I didn't finish my sentence. I know that those people, like, I know them personally, and so like I know their taste and they know mine as well, and so I can listen to their book reviews and have a pretty good idea that something that they like is gonna be something that I like too. Other people who just are very articulate about why they like a book or why they don't. Elliot Brooks. I love Elliot Brooks's reviews. I watch her all the time. Olive from A Book Olive is a fantastic book reviewer, and she also does it, I think, professionally as well. She's like writing book reviews professionally. So she's a fantastic channel. Steve Donahue is always fun to hear his thoughts on something too. Jill from the Book Bully is a channel who I really enjoy, and she just talks really well about the books that she loves and enjoys. And it's like when she loves a book, you can just feel it. And it makes you want to read that book, even though she reads things that are like way different than what I read, but I still really enjoy hearing her talk about them. And then like bigger booktubers too, like Reagan from Peruse Project. I think she's pretty articulate as well about what she likes and what she doesn't like. So these are all very like seasoned booktubers who are just really good at book reviews. And so, yeah. However, I'm going to put a caveat on all that too, because if it's a book that I'm interested in, even if they didn't like it, I might still try it. BookTube doesn't like dictate whether or not I'm going to try a book. That's not really how I use BookTube. I use BookTube more to talk to people and to see how a book hits different people. And I'm very well aware that a book that they might love, I might hate it. But if it's a book that I'm just interested in, I'm going to try it either way. So I enjoy listening to people talk about books, but it doesn't always like sway me. I will still try a book, even if they don't like it, if it's something that I'm really interested in. So I hope that answers the question. Question number 11 is, do those booktubers use a different language than you to evaluate and review the overall quality of a book? The overall quality of a book. Yes. Yes, because I think we all have a different rating system. I know what a 5-star book is for me, but it may look really different for another person. So yeah, I think we all use different language. We all use the language that we are comfortable with. And we all talk in our own way. So yeah, I think everyone does talk about books in a little bit of a different way, because everyone's a different person coming with a different perspective to a book. And some of those booktubers have like different rating systems as well. Like Christy does, well, she's I think not doing any star ratings or anything right now, but I'm just so sorry about my cat making all this noise. But she was doing like a percentage, like 90% or 80%, because it gave her more like freedom to be a little more nuanced in her book review. And that is it for the tag. And the last thing to do is tag some people. These questions were great and very thought-provoking. So thank you, Scott and Nelle, for making this tag. It was really well written. I'm very impressed. I want to do more tags that you write. I'm going to tag some of the people that I mentioned. So I'm going to tag Christy from Christy Lewis, Dostoevsky in Space. I'm going to tag Kaylee from Luminous Libro. And I'm going to tag Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I would love to know how you would answer some of these questions. They gave me a lot of food for thought. And I feel like on BookTube, we could sometimes review books and not really think about what our process is. We're just going through the process, but not like analyzing the process. So I love that this tag does that and really makes you analyze your own review process. I have other social media links down below if you want to follow me in other places, including a Patreon if you want to support this channel in a monetary way. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, please leave a little book emoji, any book emoji, for book reviews. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep reading great books, and until next time, bye-bye.